So Joe Rogan talked about the whole rumor with Jon Jones. He said that Jones was asking for $30 million. The UFC was on board. They wanted to pay him $30 million. And the fight was most likely going to happen with Tom Aspinall. Well, that turned out not to be true. Dana called Joe and told him, yo, that rumor is complete BS. And now Joe Rogan, after that conversation, he's saying that Jones is looking to retire instead of fighting Tom Aspinall, which means we might not be getting that fight, as it's all up to Jones, right? Tom wants to fight. The UFC wants to fight. The fans want to fight. Everybody wants to fight. The only one that didn't agree yet is Jon Jones. He's the only one that's stopping this fight from happening. He did say before why, right? He said that Tom is too big. He's in his prime. He's too dangerous. Why would he fight him? He's already done everything in his career. And okay, sure. He doesn't have to fight Tom, but then vacate the title and allow the heavyweight division to continue.
I had heard a rumor that Jon Jones wanted $30 million to fight Tom Aspinall. And I did hear that rumor. And I did hear that the UFC said yes, but it is not true. So Dana contacted me and said that rumor's bullshit. So I felt obligated to tell everybody that was a fake rumor.
Now, is Jones asking for $30 million the BS part, or is $30 million too much, or just both of them? Like the whole story is BS. It's interesting because that's a lot of money for a fighter, right? And we've heard about the $30 million before with Jones. And we do know the UFC wants to make this fight. Dana talked about it already. We would guess that Jones would be in negotiations. Like he would ask for something at least, not just walk away from the fight. If he just walked away from the fight without ever knowing how much money he can make out of it, that's kind of crazy.
I don't even remember who, because we did that podcast, unfortunately. We did that podcast 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember who told me that.
What do you think the amount is that Jon Jones would fight him for, or do you think it's an amount?
Well, apparently Jon is thinking about retiring.
That is interesting. Theo Vaughn asked him a very good question. How much would Jon Jones ask to fight Tom Aspinall? Well, we heard this story. It's very similar to the whole Francis Ngannou thing. There were rumors that Jones was asking for $30 to $50 million, also kind of implied by his coach who said that Jones is worth $50 million. Would Jones ask for the same pay that he allegedly asked back then, if he did? Joe Rogan didn't have an answer for that. He said that, no, Jon Jones is looking to retire. That makes it sound like he's not even asking for the money. He didn't say, I don't know how much money Jon Jones wants. I don't know how much he's asking for. He didn't say that. He said straight away, Jones is looking to retire, and he should. That's what Joe Rogan just said. This is after the conversation with Dana. Now, this doesn't mean that him and Dana talked about that, but Rogan coming out of that conversation with this opinion about Jones after talking to Dana White is very big. And it kind of goes along with what Jon Jones was saying after he beat Stipe. He was implying that he doesn't care to fight Tom.
Yeah.
And he should. I mean, he's going to have to someday. He should. I'm not saying he should retire. I'm saying he should think about it. Give the man all the time he wants. He can fight whenever he wants to fight. That's Jon Jones. He's the GOAT.
Wait, Jon Jones can just do what he wants? What is this, WWE? What sport is this? I thought we're in MMA. In the UFC, no fighter can just hold on to the belt. He's gotta defend or vacate. Exactly what El Kukui said. Defend or vacate. Defend the belt against Tom Aspinall or vacate the belt and allow Aspinall to build his own legacy. We're tired of this, man. Tom Aspinall is the new heavyweight that can carry the division forward. Jones is holding the division back by not being the champion that the division needs. And here's the thing, man, maybe some people will disagree with this. Jon Jones doing what he wants here is only for himself. It's only good for him and his camp. It's not good for the sport. It's not good for the other fighters. It's not good for the brand. It's not good for the fans. What's good for the fans is to either fight Aspinall or allow Aspinall to be the champion that the sport needs right now. Because Jon Jones is not going to be here for a long time. He's not going to be defending his belt against multiple different contenders. Tom is, and he's ready to do that, but Jones is stopping him.
So leave him alone. If he decides one day to come back, and he comes back and he wants to fight Tom Aspinall for the heavyweight title, the question is, like, how long are you allowed to hold on to the title before they start having that conversation? Now, he just knocked out Stipe Miocic, so give the man months. Give the man 5 or 6 months. Just leave him the fuck alone.
I don't understand this. He beat Stipe, yes. Stipe, the greatest heavyweight of all time when you look at what he's done for the sport. But that fighter he fought at UFC 309 was not the Stipe that we're talking about. Was not the best heavyweight in the world. That was Stipe, over 40 years old, 1 foot out the door, ready to retire. After not fighting for nearly 4 years, coming off a knockout loss. And after Jones beats the ancient version of Stipe, hey guys, let him rest, man. He just beat Stipe, let him rest. But why? Wait half a year? Tom Aspinall's in his prime. time. He doesn't have time to wait. So Tom is going to defend his belt twice before fighting Jon Jones, and people are still going to call Jon Jones the champion? If Tom defends his belt twice before Jon Jones unifies the titles with him, at that point, it's not unifying titles. Tom is the undisputed champion at that point. I don't care about interim belts. I don't care about disputed belts. He is the champion. He's the best fighter in the weight class. He's the top guy beating everybody. Jones is not. Jones is the one that's making belts not matter in this weight class. He defended his belt against Stipe when Tom defended against Curtis Blades. Belts don't matter at heavyweight at this moment. If Tom Aspinall fights and beats another contender, the belts don't matter at that point. Tom Aspinall is the champion. He's the best fighter in the weight class. That fight was given to Jones to win. There was no risk in that fight for Jones. He knew he was going to win. Everybody knew that he was going to win. He was supposed to win. He wasn't fighting a contender. Stipe was done with the sport, man. He just wanted this fight with Jones, and that was it. He was going to retire. You see how ready he was to step out of the sport as soon as the fight was over? Why are people treating this fight like Jones just knocked out prime Stipe Miocic or something? It makes no sense.
But at a certain point in time, you have to decide who the heavyweight champion is. And if Tom is the interim heavyweight champion and Jon decides he doesn't want to fight anymore, he could do that. And he could do that also and then come back in a year and fight for the title. He could do that. He could do whatever he wants. But he might decide, you know what?
I agree with Joe on this. If Jon Jones wants to vacate the title and retire, and he ever wants to come back and fight anybody, I mean, he can. That's what Jon Jones can do, right? He can retire, come back, and fight anybody he wants. But when you hold the belt, there's a certain job that the champion has. And it's not only for him, but it's for the whole weight class and the sport itself. Champions represent the sport, and they need to fight the other contenders. Not only is Tom ready to do that, he's already doing that. But so many people don't want to look at him as the rightful champion. Because while he's going out there knocking out Curtis Blades, in about a minute of their fight, Jones is dancing around with Stipe for 3 rounds. And Jon Jones is the one that could just do whatever he wants while holding the belt. The real champion of this sport right now is Tom Aspinall.
Had an unbelievable career, never lost, except the disqualification loss to a rule that has since been reversed. He's the GOAT. He retires. He's got plenty of money. He's got an opportunity to do some acting. Yeah.
You know, Jon Jones, arguably the greatest fighter of all time, but that isn't the sport, right? He's not the sport itself. Fighters come and go. No fighter defines what the sport is. He's the champion that's not defending his belt. It could be any fighter in that place. It could be GSP. If he just held on to his title after he beat Bisping, I would have said the same thing. It could literally be any fighter who chooses not to defend the belt against the interim champion. And I would say the exact same thing. And this one is Jones. He's the guy holding the belt that refuses to fight the interim champion. The Stipe fight should never have been a thing in the first place when Jones won that belt. And I've been saying it ever since he beat Cyril Gane. Stipe is not the fight anymore. He's the champion and he has to defend the title. Sergey was the number 1 contender. Then they made this whole Jones and Stipe thing. Jones gets injured. Tom beats Sergey for the interim belt. Jones should have fought Tom after that. I don't want MMA to turn into boxing, right? Let Jones do what he wants. Let Alex do what he wants. Bring Anderson Silva back to fight Dricus. It essentially would turn into boxing if you just let all the champions do whatever they want. Because every champion's going to want to jump up and down weight classes and fight the goats of their divisions, pick and choose who they fight. It's never been good for the sport. Boxing did it so many times to the point where it damaged their sport so badly. The last thing we want for MMA is for it to turn into boxing. What Jon Jones is doing is exactly what boxing champions have done for a long time. They don't fight the other champions in their weight classes. They don't fight the number 1 contenders. They want to pick and choose who they fight. Then all of a sudden, every UFC champion is going to pick and choose their opponents. It's going to be a million interim belts. Now, I get it. He's the greatest fighter of all time, but that shouldn't be an exception. The sport matters more than any single fighter. Again, fighters come and go. Jones is the greatest now. Maybe there's going to be another greatest of all time that surpasses him. Could he start doing the same thing? And then what about the guy that surpasses him? Can he start doing the same thing? Boxing is a great reference point because there have been so many greatest of all times throughout the last 100 years. How many times was there the next GOAT that surpassed the other one? Right? Yeah, John L. Sullivan, Jack Johnson, Jack Dempsey, Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr., Lennox Lewis, the Klitschko's, Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, then Canelo, then Alexander Usyk, and it's like, you can't just let all of these champions do the same thing. That will be MMA, right? Right now, Jon Jones is the early GOAT of the sport, right? In the next 20 years, there might be a guy who surpasses him. And then 20 years after that, another fighter that surpasses that fighter. So the GOATs will always change. But the thing that never changes, or at least it shouldn't change, is the sport itself. Boxing changed. And look what happened to that sport. It was way better back in the 70s and 80s. But in the 90s and 2000s, it changed when it shouldn't have had. And hopefully MMA learns from boxing to not do the same thing. Don't change the sport for a fighter. Nothing would matter anymore. We don't even know who the best fighters are at that point. Let's make 40 belts per weight class. Why not? Let's just do it. This has never happened in the UFC before. But maybe they just let Jones hold on to the belt, or he vacates it or something like that. Hopefully the fight happens, because that would be such a big fight. It'd be great for the sport too. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure to give it a like, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video.